Hello, everybody, and welcome to the tour of the city of Dean Ambrose. Yes, this is a city I've been working on my own for the past couple of weeks or so, and I would say it's about 80% complete. Um, the idea for the city was not to make everything urbanized over the entire area. I mean, that would be well, for one thing, it would melt everything down on my computer. But for another thing, I kind of wanted to have these nice big natural areas between everything. And my idea for the city was to go for something more akin to a city-state, like, for instance, Singapore or Hong Kong. Obviously, not as big, but the general sort of idea. So our city-state is consisted of sort of one big island that has a few smaller islands off its coast and connects to the mainland over there, as you can see. And we can just pretend that mainland is a different country. And that the border stuff is over here. We'll just pretend. So, this is the city, and when I built it, I basically saw that there were certain gaps in the trees, and I decided that was where I wanted my larger urban areas to be. So that is why you might have this seemingly random placement of cities here. It's for that reason. But I'm going to show you the city. I'm going to show you different parts of it in turn. Um, this highway here and this rail were the two things that came with the city. And man, this rail is so borked. I mean, that seems to be a flaw with this game, is that the rails just seize up and it's all terrible and everything. But that's okay. Um, yeah, this highway was built by the guy who designed the map, and it comes all the way through, and it ends over here. And over here, I have to pat myself on the back for this because I kind of feel it's a little bit ingenious. I have this gigantic roundabout at the end of this highway, and this roundabout serves to take traffic from the highway and all these other parts of the town that might come into it, and sort of send them on their way to different parts of this region of the city, which is probably the larger urban agglomeration in this area. You have to be a little clever when doing this, though. You don't want to have too many opportunities for backup. Like, there used to be a big backup right here, so I made this one way going that way. Although, with the construction of a few other highways that I've made since then, it seems that traffic is a bit lighter than it used to be here, but it's still pretty sizable. And of course, you get back on the highway there. Oh yeah, garbage is a problem, but won't worry about that now. So this over here is what could be considered the main thrust of the city, the main area, and I like this a lot. I have to pat myself on the back. I do think I did a good job with this. I wanted to make some parts of the city um, be grid, whereas some parts are more freeform. And as you can see, there is a grid pattern here. Yeah, the garbage trucks haven't quite got to this area, it seems. They're working on it. Before, this like entire area had these trash symbols. What are you complaining about? Citizens are sick. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if there's pathing problems when it comes to the a lot of the services. It seems like you need way more than you should, and they kind of work silly. Yeah, this little patch here, I wanted to make it look like an abandoned rail yard, and I think I pretty much nailed the aesthetic. It's rather nice. As you can see, the grid continues here, and then everything just sort of bends up this way. until eventually you get another grid pattern along here. And there's trees here along the beach. As you'll see a pattern in the city, I wanted to leave the beaches as open as possible because I want my people to frolic on the beach and have a good time. Have a barbecue, have a beer, play with the kids, play with the dog. Just have a good time. So yeah, this is what could be considered the main part of the city. This part right here kind of reminds me of the canals in Florida a little bit. This was here, obviously. There's not really a method of adjusting cities or adjusting, terrain in this game without mods I don't have. But yeah, I liked how this looked, so I didn't want to put a bridge over this. So instead, we have a little tunnel that goes right under the water. So that's all pretty nice. Over here, though, I gotta show you something. Do you see this cargo harbor? Man, this is one busy port. Like, it never stops. It always looks like this. And when I first built it, I had it hooked up directly to this road. And let me tell you, it was a traffic catastrophe. Like, there were cars everywhere. Everything was locked up. It was just a miserable scene. So the way that I managed to solve that problem was I connected this to an underground highway. As you can see, the underground highway has nice long ramps that eventually converge here, loop around and come back, load up into the harbor, and then once they get out, they come down here and go back to ramps that lead to that highway. So yes, each tunnel goes a different direction on the highway, and it works out a lot. Man, this is actually, believe it or not, this is light compared to how it usually is. Usually it's backed up all the way to here, but we're having a light day, I guess, which is alright. So yeah, that is the main area. And now this island is kind of a fun spot. You might be saying, oh, what's all this in the middle? Well, that is my system of getting people from this bridge and this tunnel from that highway. As you will remember, it's the same highway that goes by the docks. To get traffic from that bridge and that highway onto these three avenues. So basically what happens in both cases, the bridge comes in or the highway comes in, and each of them splits off three ways. Then those three ways come and converge in intersections here. Like this is from the highway, this is from the bridge, and they converge and combine to create these new avenues that people join on. And conversely, when people are leaving the island, there are two ramps, one for getting on the highway, one for getting on the bridge. They come around and they loop around, and you see they all join up here. This one for the bridge, and this one over here for the highway. And it's really nice. It looks really cool. I placed all these trees by hand with a lot of clicking. And the cool thing about this is that every bit of this is functional. All these ramps are used, and it's quite cool. But yeah, I wanted to have an efficient way for traffic to be branched off in three different directions to go to three parts of the island. This one became overly congested because, well, it leads to the most stuff. So I actually went ahead and I put in a bit of a underground ramp extension for this area, so that way people can directly get over here. And there's still some traffic problems over here. I'm probably gonna have to do something about this at some point, but for now it's all right. Not gonna worry too much about it. And one cool thing about this island is this beach. I mean, there's a lot of beaches in the city, and I always try to not build directly on the beach side of the city or of the road, because I don't know. It just seems like a nice place for people to come out and enjoy the beach. You know, frolic and do all those things that I mentioned before. So yeah, it's quite nice. Let's scroll out a bit, zoom out. So the island narrows over here, and it kind of tapers off into a more less dense, more suburban type area. Excuse me there. And there's a tunnel that leads to this town over here. This is the more industrial part of this island, which tapers out into suburban, and finally into the more wild part. We have a little town over here, which is suffering from trash problems, apparently. I wouldn't even call this a town. It's more like a village or even a hamlet of some sort. So yeah, this road here tapers off into suburban situations before entirely going into the country, and then finally going over to the bridge. This is a pretty busy road right here, but it goes down and joins this city down here. What I like about this city is that I have two different grids that combine to make this city. As you can see, there's one that aligns with these two roads. Then there's one that aligns with this road here. And I don't know, I just kind of really like that. And as you can see, the night is setting. Shadows are getting long. Soon it will be nighttime in the city, and it's quite a wonderful thing. So, yeah, let's zoom in here. My computer's really freaking out right now. Okay, there we go. But yeah. Yeah, in this city you have this highway, which actually begins over here. Yeah, I love these intersections that I've made. Look at this. Tell me that's not awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I actually have two highways starting in a similar spot. This one goes over the hill, goes underground, and then meets up with this underground highway, which is the same one that comes out here. Meanwhile, you have this one, goes under the hill, comes out through here, picks up most of its traffic here, actually, when it combines with this highway, comes along here, and then meets this highway. Now this one actually begins right near the start of the city, goes through a very long tunnel, pops out over here, and ceases to be a highway when it enters the city, each of the two roads becoming two of the defining roads for the grid, as the grid is known. So, you know, I have to say, once again, I am a clever guy. So, yes. It is pretty cool how that worked out. And as you can see, night's approaching, and one thing that you'll discover with the night cycles in this game is that the different kinds of roads are actually different colors. Like if you take a look over here, you'll see that the roads that have 3 lanes on each side have sort of this bluish color to them. The ones with 2 lanes on each side have a yellow color, and the regular streets, they have more of a I guess you could call it a neutral white color, maybe the slightest tinge of blue. Whereas your highways and off-ramps have a bit more of a pale white, maybe a very hint of a pinkish white. So yeah, you have very differing colors. which is either really cool or really annoying, depending on your perspective. And if you zoom out, it kind of gets this weird, like, connect the dots look or something, or dot dot pattern. But it looks a lot cooler when you zoom in. So yeah, this is what night looks like in the city. And I kind of like how, well, I don't really like the fog and the haze from the industrial area. It's a bit much. But I kind of like this island of this area just looks cool at night, in between all the nonsense. So yeah, I find that to be fun. Sometimes I just like to, it's one of those things where the city might not look so big from the sky. When you get down to a level like this, it's like, yeah, this is actually pretty big. And yeah, there's the beach and the water rolling in and lights on the beach. It's very nice. You can see back there, if you're wondering what that is our wind farm. Yes, this city is powered by wind, which is possible to do. You just need a shitload of wind farms to do it. Yes. So that is what we've done. So where was I showing you the various parts of the city? Well, we have this little guy over here. Not too much to say about this particular town here along this peninsula. Now we have this little quiet town, which is sort of wrapped around this lake. This isn't a true roundabout. I made that. It's just a road. And even though it's small, it has good connections to everywhere else. Then over here we have this city. This highway comes up, and it has the world's derpiest roundabout right here, as you can see. It's functional, but it's not too pretty. And I wanted to make this highway look unfinished, like it was planned to go on longer, but it just sort of ends here. So basically the cars have to take this lax exit onto this road. But yeah, this is another one of those that has two grids, this one here and then the main one over here. Yeah, you have quite the bright area here near the middle. This must be the commercial district, or perhaps the office district. I think they shine brighter. High school is very bright. Yeah, look how bright this is. This is crazy bright compared to everything else around it. Over here's pretty bright too, but I think that's also offices. So that's the reason. And then over here is sort of a smaller town. Once again, I wanted to go with the grid pattern. And then you have this one, which conforms to the contour of the water. So it's a nice little town with this little outlying area on this island, which I like to think is, a little bit more suburban, a little bit more spread out and such. And this road that goes around it, I wanted to treat it kind of like a bypass. So you see, it's kind of disconnected from everything else, and it uses it's even elevated a little bit. And then over here, we get to a dead industrial area. That's kind of one of the bad things about this game, is that, like, in certain parts of your city, industrial areas just start to suck for some reason. So, like, all the residential areas here are pretty nice, but this is sort of intermixed between residential and commercial. And yeah, it's poopy. But yeah, this is the true dead area here. Like, it's not entirely dead because you'll have some businesses operating over here. But yeah, you have these lack of people icons, which will eventually lead into being abandoned building icons. But there's little you can do. I guess the way that the industry is mapped in this game doesn't necessarily, it's sort of like, it's geographically weird, I guess. I don't know how else to put that. And then finally, we have this small town out here, which can only be reached through 2-lane roads leading to it. It's a nice little town. Also, I think we're getting towards the daytime here. And finally, this little bridge that leads to the small island with a really dense community on it. And I decided to give this one random island out here its own dense city. I like to think of this as a bit of a resort community or something because it's surrounded by a beach. I like to imagine that a lot of these are hotels and casinos, and there's a lot of shopping and nightlife, and so for that reason I like to think of this as a little bit of a getaway spot, you know, a little bit disconnected from things. It's having trash problems, which it shouldn't because, I mean, that's right there. But like I said, the pathing for the services seems a bit dodgy sometimes, so I'm not too sure what to do about it. I mean, we do have a garbage truck coming, so, you know, the problem is in at least some stage of being addressed. Maybe not as quickly as we would like, but it is. So basically, that's the gist of it. City's about 80% done, I would say. One thing I want to do is like add some random houses along these roads or something. Just something low key, you know, something rural, and fill in some more areas, maybe over here, over there, maybe a little bit on top of the hill. Over here is our airport, which for whatever reason is not too active, like it's not completely inactive, so I know it's not broken, but it just doesn't seem to have much going on there. But airport is there, you know, it does operate in a manner of speaking, and yeah, I'm really happy with how this town is turning out. As you can see, I've sort of evolved the style with this game, and I want to, you know, build new cities. What the heck is going on over here? Boats are colliding because I have a passenger harbor over here. As you might note, this is much more low-key than the cargo harbor. I also have another cargo harbor that's over here, which is also directly connected to a highway. But for whatever reason, this one just isn't as popular, you know? Because let's go back to here. Yeah, this is what it usually looks like. Remember I told you it was kind of light before? Yeah, this is more what it usually looks like, but yeah. It functions, but damn, that's a lot of traffic, you know? They just never ever stop loading and unloading. So, it's pretty fun. But yeah, I really like how the city's turned out. Sun should be rising soon. So, that's good. I wanted to say thank you for watching this, and I'm actually making this a two-parter because I want to show you what the city looks like from a car's perspective, or from various cars' perspective, now that we've seen it from the sky's perspective. So I'm going to make this a two-parter. Now that you've seen that, or now that you've seen this, stay tuned for that. So thank you everybody watching, and I'll see you again very soon.